Having laid out these 5 major challenges, and if I may briefly recapitulate them: more internationalization, more spread of literacy and information and therefore assertive movements, growing per capita income and market potential, increasing domestic competition, and greater expectations of business from society. What are some managerial responses? And I have here not talked about business strategies. That field is well known. I have not talked about the need for effective marketing strategy, the need for R&D management, the need for managing the manufacturing operations. Those are well known. But I'm going to talk about the manager as an individual. The manager, is he prepared to respond to this challenge? Particularly the manager as he goes higher up in the hierarchy. And in this I include managers in industry, entrepreneurs who share the role of managers, people in government who are managing large expenditure programs, who are in the role of managers, but primarily people in industry, because I'm going to talk a little bit about government role at the end of this, and that's primarily moving in the direction of deregulation. If I were to put on top of the list the single most important managerial response, humility, it's in short supply. We have probably in the world one of the 2 longest traditions of intellectual thought and learning, India and China. Therefore, it is no surprise that Indians who go abroad, anywhere in Europe or America, and if they could only learn Japanese, they would do just as well. So intellectually there is the capability, but the mind cannot do things when the heart is not under control. So humility, and higher up we go to the chairman level, to the entrepreneurial level, even greater humility is needed. The second managerial response is to stop blaming and scapegoating. This has become a very neurotic and defensive response of many managements. I'm not defending any of these groups, but they don't know, they do not have the clue about managerial professionalism and skills. Therefore, the managerial profession has an additional responsibility. We cannot go on blaming politicians, bureaucrats, unions, the educational system, the Indian culture. Let's understand the difficulties of an elected union leader as different from an appointed manager with delegated authority. Why do we fight our own institutes of technology, our own institutes of management? They are our children. If there is something wrong in the educational curriculum, let's interact with those institutions, let's interact with those students, let's improve them. So not scapegoating, but problem solving. That's my third suggested response. Not only take responsibility, let the managerial profession take total responsibility. And as others are ready to take over some of it, let's delegate it, let's leave it. But initially let's take total responsibility, fill the vacuum. Treat the next decade as the decade of the managerial mission to the Indian society. I would suggest Indian management should take the Indian society and resources on as is, where is basis and take it forward from there on in the next decade. But we need not be apologetic. These assets are considerable. West German investors in the UK demonstrated in the 70s that with the British labor we can do better, and the Japanese demonstrated in the US in the late 70s and 80s that with US labor we can do better, and indeed they are demonstrating in several collaborations in India that with the Indian labor we can do better. Let Indian management do better with Indian resources. They are considerable resources. The fourth response, all other things will come, R&D, marketing, financial strategy. I'm not here going into the nitty-gritty of management. These will come if we can do the fourth one, managerial response. Educate oneself in real management, concepts and skills. The dominant Indian managerial attitude, senior management and above, is still, I regret to say, anti-intellectual, anti-knowledge, anti-concept. We have to stop being anti-intellectual. Don't glorify wrong practices in the name of experience. Experience is relevant, it is important. But experience is only a potential teacher Somebody needs to be a learner to learn from that experience. The fifth response, and I think this is fundamental, is to institutionalize and not depend upon outstanding, charismatic, hero, he-man, macho kind of leaders. We have to institutionalize a total corporate management model, a model which will function with people who are brilliant and who are above average, with different kinds of people in the history of that business enterprise, in the history of that industry. Whoever is the top man, the chairman, the managing director, a director or a general manager, has to stop pretending that he is a superman. Very often the attitude reflected is that before I took over this division or this company, I don't know what they were doing. It was such a chaos. I've been here for 5 years, I'm leaving, but I'm not sure what my successors are going to do. So I have inherited chaos and I fear chaos will follow me. It's only my period that things are fantastic. Now this kind of pretension must go. There is no escape from a competitive analysis for goal setting. And therefore every company has to have a system institutionalized to look at competition, not to blame that competition, not to manipulate against that competition and file cases against them, but to look at what goals are they setting, what goals are they achieving, and can we have goals, strategies, borrow some of their organizational practices and systematic working. If the Japanese can do it, worldwide if they can learn, when people were laughing at them, and now they are having the last laugh, within our own country, why can't we learn by inter-firm comparisons, inter-industry comparisons? The next response I would like to suggest is to create a culture of participation, teamwork, quality and excellence. There are several parameters of culture. I have picked 4 of them which seem to be the Achilles heels of Indian industry. Participation. There is a very funny, very strange law in many of our organizations that delegation and participation resist the principle of gravity. Participation up to my level, but no further. Up to me it is very good, but I don't know whether levels below me are mature enough. And this gives the perfect excuse for senior management to withdraw the participation or delegation. Let us stop the personality cult. Don't glorify anybody, a GM, a director, a managing director, a chairman or anybody. Watch that division, watch that function, watch that company with hypothesis, questions in your mind for 5 years, 3 years if he is junior, 10 years if he was chairman, after he has left the scene, after he has retired. Has he built that organization? Has he created an appearance of an organization? Has he created a miasma of personal glory around it? Has he sown the seeds of decline and destruction which germinate and torment that organization after he is gone? We must therefore apply standards of performance at all levels, not just on the shop floor by measuring shift-wise production and quality. I have talked about managerial challenges. I don't mean to imply that managers, independent of all other forces in society, can bring about a revolution and change. Government has a role, definitely. But this role of government is more likely to come about if government's anxieties can be reduced, if management and industry can inspire the trust and confidence of government that they can move on. The best thing that the government can do to equip Indian industry to meet the managerial challenges of the 90s is to continue on the road of deregulation. Don't listen to screams and complaints about too much capacity, competition. Let people fight out that competition. If there is overcapacity, let them develop the demand for it. In Delhi, we were worried in 1983 about overcapacity in hotels. Right now, you cannot find a hotel room for the next 2 to 3 months. Let them develop that capacity. Accept the verdicts of a healthy competitive economy. You cannot have it both ways. You cannot have a competitive economy and also not let anybody have any problem, any difficulties. Let companies and industries grow only to the extent that they retain the confidence of their stakeholders, not the confidence of DGTD, not the confidence of controller of capital issues, not the confidence of some regulatory agencies. Let them retain the confidence of their customers, their distributors, their suppliers, their employees, their shareholders. Then they survive, otherwise let them go. 3, focus on providing jobs and incomes from the government side, not on subsidies. The cost of defending something in subsidy terms rises in geometric proportion compared to the cost of defending an economic job and an income. If you look at the total capital investment per job created in the public sector, or indeed in the organized sector, there is a very sound line of argument to say that if India had taken a different route of economic development, with the same total resource mobilization, with a different pattern of investment, more labor intensive, less capital intensive, more economic and less subsidy either for domestic sale or for exports, we might have done considerably better. The 4th item, everybody is clear on this. I think we have to do something. And in the 90s, if government were to solve one single problem, this is the one problem that I would like to see them, central and state government, solve: reduce non-productive government expenditure. If this is a single mission for government, this would enable industry to meet a number of challenges, allow more resources for the corporate sector. But let's not allow more resources without more competition for those resources. Those who get it must deserve those resources. Number 5, and this is likely to be controversial both here and outside this hall, I think we have come to a stage when we must confront this. Allow genuine takeovers of existing companies by other domestic companies or even by non-resident Indians. Genuine takeovers. Discuss with them, find out their intent. If they are serious industrialists who will continue the business, let them take over. What is the problem? All stakeholders will benefit, and we can logically demonstrate, except for their emotional hang-up, even the original investors will benefit if there is a systematic takeover. And if an NRI group comes in any case with an initial acquisition with roots in India, sooner or later they are bound to invest in other areas. And finally, another issue that might be controversial. I would not like this to happen. I would only like this to happen if the managerial challenge is not met by the managerial profession. Then from the point of view of the society, there is no option. And although I am a student of management and a helper of many industries, I must speak as a citizen of this country and not as a person with a vested interest in a particular profession. Let the financial institutions be more demanding, more return-oriented, and put in professional management into dithering companies faster than they are doing now. We are giving people too long a rope to make a mess of their investments, to make mediocre returns, to give short returns to their stakeholders, and let the institutions call in good professional talent and let these resources of society be managed better. I have talked about tremendous opportunities that are coming before us, but every opportunity is a double-edged sword. If it is not met, somebody else is meeting it, we will be in trouble. And I hope that the message of managerial humility, learning, institutionalization, action, and then supported by government's interventions of the right kind would enable India to take its play